not signing, and ours is to respond and not to ignore you. And that's, I think that is what I'm clarifying. I must also hasten to say, though, that we would want to see all this project completed, one way or the other. And in instances where those that had their contracts revised and are having extreme difficulty in executing the projects, if at least they could sign the revised contracts, so that they can begin to implement, and maybe also highlight the challenges that they might experience along the way based on the amount that they have received, because we still want to see the work being done. And I would really encourage that do what you can with what we are offering, but it does not mean that you should not highlight to council, to the NAC, that what you are asking me to do now is not, like you were rightly saying, that at the end is the quality project that must produce results to an extent where the money doesn't just go down the drain because it was not sufficient. But I want to emphasize again that we cannot take an attitude that says take it or leave it if you don't sign the contract. We still have contracts that have not been returned. I think it's about 477 or something of them, or 500. I don't remember what the figure is. We don't know the reasons why, and we would like to hear what those reasons are. And we are also hoping, really hoping that government will find a shortfall, will find this shortfall. We have done a calculation of the shortfall. It's about 90 million or so. So that is the shortfall of people who had signed original contracts, whose projects might then be affected based on that. And it will be our joy if that shortfall is found and the minister says to us, there is a shortfall, so that we can go back and try and honor and help you do what you intended to do right from the beginning. And I think, yes, I think that is what I wanted to, yes. We have, I must say, yesterday we had a meeting until 2 a.m. with management. And we have said to management, Tiwe, from Women in Music, we've said to management, we are not going to relent on the speed by which management is going to process these contracts. And we've even said, if your management tells us that there's nothing on my desk that awaits me to approve or do anything, that will understand, because it would mean you must go back to the provinces, to the regions, and work harder to make sure that people return the GNLs or return the contracts. But if you have some type of a document that awaits your approval, there can't be any excuse why it's not approved. If we have people who are saying, I have sent my contract back on the 10th of March or on the 17th of March or 2 weeks ago, as Thapelo is saying, we need to know why that contract has not been retrieved, and where is it, and why has it not been processed, and where is the payment? And I know, Tiwe, you are saying that it's quite concerning that the numbers are still very low. If you look at where we were a week ago, it's beginning to show some results. It's not enough because we now have until Wednesday. And we have said to management, work through the weekend. If there's something on your desk that requires your pen, we'll even give you 5 pens to do that. But I would like Councillor Mashiane to add something.
Councillor Sithole, thank you very much. Yes, Chair.
Go ahead, Councillor Mashiane, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thanks to Councillor Sithole. And let me as well greet and welcome creative practitioners, applicants, and the industry at large. I'm basically looking at questions that are posed on the side. I know these, will have to also be responded to. And I thought, let me take time to, try and respond to those that would really be directed to council. One of these questions is, what can you tell us who in the council members has resigned so far from the NEC board and the reason for resignation? Well, we can be able to confirm to industry that we have got 2 council members who had resigned, Councillor Michelle Constant and Councillor Avril Joffe. Unfortunately, the reasons that they would therefore advance would be known to the minister at this point, and we will be able to then get a sense from that, as the minister is the one who appoints all council members. So I can confirm the names, but I may not be able to confirm the reasons why they have resigned. Then there's a question on I think it's from Fenyi Pula. Then she says, or he says, I wanted to ask question one. Well, what should be done with the issue of the regional coordinators as they are not functional? I have sent emails to request way forward on how they can help me, but no response from them. I'm not really sure of which regional coordinators on this one. Are you talking about Mufenyi? But if you are talking about the intervention that has been, approved by council for provincial teams to go and assist applicants on the ground, I can confirm with you that, in fact, this intervention has been quite successful. We know today that there are many applicants who have submitted contracts. There are many who still wish to submit their contracts, whom they await. And we are making sure that, as Dr. Stolle has said, that we are pushing management to ensure that as soon as possible, when these contracts are requested, they are submitted and they are returned so that people can be paid. However, I can be able to indicate as well that if indeed you are speaking about the team of people that have been, deployed to work with applicants on the ground, you can use the email address for each province. It starts with the name of the province and then it goes on to at nec.org.za. If I were to make an example, if you want to speak and you are an applicant in Gauteng, you can send an inquiry to gauteng@nec.org.za. And when this inquiry is sent, it will be received and it will get attention. I think, Doc, those are the questions that I'm able to see on the side, and I hope this does assist. I must indicate as well, Doc, and facilitator, that we are receiving a lot of questions on the side about when do payments have to be made and when people have submitted contracts. And I think this is what has been raised earlier by one of the participants. How quick is the payment supposed to be made after people have submitted contracts? And I think this is a matter that is beginning to really have us, supposed to be able to respond with some high level of clarity, despite the fact that we know that we have got a serious number of applicants that still needs to be paid. We do need to be quite, clear about when these payments will be made. And I'll leave that to the acting CEO. Thank you very much, Facilitator, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mashiane. In terms of hands that are raised, I would like to recognize Tami, followed by Tovane, but before, and then followed by Ben B. But before we open the floor up to them, I have a few questions from the chat that perhaps the acting CEO can refer to. One is from Ashraf, who's asking if an applicant is not successful with a PSP application, what other funding opportunities are available for good and compliant applications? I think we've addressed a little bit on the contracts, and which requires payments to be followed up, but perhaps acting CEO, you can elaborate a little bit further on that. And if also you could just address the question on applicants who are still under review, what is the next step there? They are awaiting communications from us. And then one last question from Tapelo, who asks in relation to Stream 2 and the job forms that they are required to send back to us. They're saying that at the moment it's a little bit premature for them to send this job form, because when they make appointments in the theater space, they can only make those appointments after funding is received. So what happens in that case in terms of their job form? But for now, can I just hand over to Tobani, whose hand has been raised? The floor is yours.
Yes, hello, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I would just like to reiterate something that has been said and is been constantly being said by a lot of people that are being frustrated by the issues of e-payment. This issue of 72 hours, maybe Dr. Stole, when he's doing publicity stunts, we've been hearing it. My interviews are maningi, and it's not fair for him to continue saying 72 hours because it's not going to work. It has not been working, and I don't think it has worked for anyone. Also, we would like e-management, NAC. This is my view. In actually management, particularly CEO, it's at charge of what is happening when it comes to the payments. When I'm saying this, let there not be a situation where staff say no timelessly, because to be honest, some of the NAC staff have been working very hard, and we have seen that, especially when it comes to e-documentation and communicating with us. We see that, we commend that, but they need assistance from you, acting CEO. Speak to your finance department. Speak to your finance department. For payments. I don't think Ogoto Finance should be the one to say, no, I'm not going to pay this person now because there was a prior agreement of what. There's a lot of people, there's a lot of payments that are being rejected simply because finance department decides not to pay because they think there was a prior agreement. Julie, siyacela uthathe charge of finance. The last documentation which you have signed, or grant notification letters, are the last communications that should be actioned by everyone. The NAC should be actioned correctly by finance department. Losses about being short paid, it's simply because finance department no. The first agreement it's na spreadsheet sango February. Umuntu fanele athole imali engaka. There were 3 communications kwamanyama organization. There was the first communication that happened in December. There was a communication that happened in February. There was a communication that recently happened. Grant notification letters. Now, Julie, speak to finance. Tell them there are new grant notification letters amanye organization, and mala action based on that grant notification letter, not the past spreadsheets where bona bazi ukuthi kwakumele ngabe imali engaka. Otherwise ngabe baningi abantu abakhokheleyo. You wouldn't be sitting with this situation where unama batches and batches of payments not being done, and if you went lost 72 hours. Thank you.
Thank you, Tobani. Now we hand over to Tami Akambongo. Hopefully I've said your name correctly. The floor is yours, Tami.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
My name is Tami Akambongo. I'm here at the NAC buildings, one of the artists that are here with the sit-in while you guys are working at home. Firstly, I must say, we also realize that you are changing the format of this engagement. In the beginning, there were a lot of council members that joined this, and suddenly it's getting less. There were more NAC management that are joining this briefing. It's getting less. And as you can see also, you said in the beginning, lesser artists are attending these sessions. It should concern you, all of you, whether management, whether board, it should concern you because artists are getting tired of hearing the same thing. I must also acknowledge Utepo for once, for being less arrogant and give us the names of those who resigned. We truly appreciate it. And we can safely say there are more people that are going to resign because they see this thing is rotten. What the NAC board is trying to hide, it's really rotten. And the second question that I wanted to ask, because he does not want to provide the reason, but rest assured, we, the artists that are sitting here, we know the reasons why those people have resigned. And we are glad
asking
taken that decision to resign. The second question that we want to ask, because the industry, we know Dr. Sipho Sithole has benefited and everyone has been bashing Dr. Sipho Sithole. So can the council members also tell us the other 4 or 5 council members that are benefiting from that? So that you understand at least Dr. Sipho Sithole kudala bashwa industry and the other members also babekwe cross. And the second thing to the NAC, because Usis Julie as the acting CEO and the acting CFO, they work with the previous one, the suspended one. So bayayazi everything that has happened in the past and blah, blah, blah. And then if you remember, end of January, Sis Julie, now acting CFO, you made Iliwe advertisement for project managers and liaison officers, I think by the end of January. And you have never communicated with the industry what's happening, because what we are seeing now, we are seeing Uguti Kuleka izandla with the NAC, and we know Uguti some of the NAC staff that usually work on the funding, they are not working on this PSP. Why? Because you can see it clearly, your project managers are failing you, the people that you have appointed in province are failing you, and you've got capable hands right here in your building, but you are not utilizing that. Why are you not utilizing the people that used to work on NAC funding? Other matters, we are dealing with NAC on other platforms, but I just want to get this one for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tammy, for your input. I'd like to just quickly give Ben B an opportunity to ask, followed by Elcardo Chulu, Provincial Coordinator, and then we'll hand over to our panelists to respond accordingly. Ben B, the floor is yours.
Can you hear me? Testing?
Yes, we can hear you, Ben B.
Okay. From my side, I wanted to know, far from the PSP fund from the 7th of February to April the 7th, half of us artists, we expected to come and do our community, our work, but we haven't yet got that funding. How does that work in like this environment that we're in? We've been at the NAC buildings, busy striking, asking for you guys to intervene and help us. But also from my other side, I wanted to find out, did the board members know that corruption was happening with the money scandal? If so, why was it not sorted out from the beginning in December?
Thank you very much. I'd like Isaac to please take the floor.
Program Director, I think you had requested Elcardo first.
Okay, apologies about that. Elcardo Chulu, Provincial Coordinator, kindly take the floor.
Hi, good day, how are you?
Hello, we can hear you.
Thank you very much. No, I just wanted to inquire quickly based on your portal. I've picked up that on some of the statuses it shows that funding approved, but those people haven't received like contracts and stuff as yet or communications, basically like grant notification letters. So what is the hold up on that one specifically? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to take one more question because unfortunately we're running out of time. I'm just going to take Isaac, who can ask their question, and then we'll hand over to the panelists to respond accordingly. Isaac, if you can unmute yourself.
Is it better now?
Yes, we can hear
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Mine is easy. Our project number is 3436601. We just want you guys to speed up the process. We are going to Good Friday. We've been waiting since last year. Make up, please. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, Isaac. I'd like to hand over to Councillor Mashiane, who will answer Tammy's question, and if they can contribute to any of the other questions, and then followed by the acting CEO. Councillor
Thank you,
Mashiane?
Yes. Thanks, Chair. I'm not going to be answering Tammy's question specifically, but I will answer some of the questions as well that are on the chat. But it's important to note that as it is, the view cannot be shared that people are reduced in these sessions, and that supposedly is an indication that people are in fact no longer interested. I think it's the opposite. Many applicants who participated here sought to receive their funding, and they have received it, and they are busy doing work. And I think that must be appreciated in that sense. Secondly, is that when it comes to council, council members who are in this panel are those that would be are basically mandated to come and respond to the industry on questions that are raised here. And there are other members who are attending as participants. So most of our council members are present in this particular session, and I think that record can be served. Now, I don't want to go into the detail about the reasons of the resignation. If people are aware of that, then that defeats the purpose of asking the question of why were they resigning. But that's not the matter anymore. The other issue I want to really put forward is that council has continued in its efforts, to ensure that the process of PESP is in itself a process that will be for us, it has been an experience, Chair. And we are continually learning from this process to a point where, we have taken decisions as a council that where there is no level of clarity and where we have been presented with issues that seemingly have a sense of requiring some investigation, we have acted as such. And we do so because we want to be able to come back to industry and be specific about some of the issues that have been making the rounds in various platforms, both in the social media and in the mainstream media. So a lot of work we do to make sure that when we come to industry, we bring facts and we really, are able to counter misinformation that has been going around. But I think as we had started with these platforms, Chair, it becomes our continual interest to ensure that as people are paid, indeed, let them go to work. And of course, we are happy and ourselves to see that numbers have reduced because it does seem that people have been paid. This does not undermine, Chair, the fact that there are people who have not been paid. And I think this message is coming out very clear. Most of the people who are here today are saying our projects are in this state and they need to be resolved. And like I said earlier, and what I want to re-emphasize what Councillor Stolle said, we have as a council have requested management to do what it can to ensure that this process is finalized, Chair. And I want to then say that, as I close, I suppose, given the time as you are allocated, Chair, that can we, we still reach out to all applicants who are sitting with contracts, who are sitting with GNLs, to return them, sign and return them so that they can then be paid. Because that's one of the important messages we're going around indicating to applicants that have applied. Because this money and the money that is there for now is meant for them. And the only way they can get it through to them is when these contracts are signed. And I think with those few words, Chair, I would like to thank again the attendees. And when we do our events, let's continue to attend these briefings so that we can get further clarity. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Mashiane. I'd just like to quickly hand over to our acting CEO, who could respond to some of the questions and also have some closing words.
Thank you, Khonsi. Thank you, Councillor Mashiane. On the issue of applications still under review, which is quite a very thorny issue, and I know a lot of people feel like they've been hanging for quite some time. Applications that are under review or are saying interim rejection have actually been declined due to compliance issues. So the process to conclude to conclude that phase is that the GMS has to be updated. In certain instances, it has been updated. It's just a question of just couching the sentences to ensure that they actually make sense. And thereafter, a letter would be released. I've spoken to the senior project manager on this issue, and by Monday, we should have some of these letters already en route to the beneficiaries. I think one other thing that I also would like to emphasize is that we really focus our energies towards the approved applications, and one will appreciate that the process in certain instances had to be repeated. The people that had already been published received their grant notification letters. Thereafter, then another process of issuing revised grant notification letters, and therefore also issuing addendums to the contracts that had already been released. So it's almost like two phases that had to be repeated, and also the newly approved one, which received their fresh grant notification letters as well as the contracts. There was also a question, I think it was asked by Ashraf with regard to other funding opportunities available at the NAC. Certainly there is, as we are now moving into the new financial year, with the new allocation from the Department of Arts and Culture, we should now be able to look into a new funding process upon council finalizing on the strategic imperatives of the NAC going forward, because those will have to inform the new call that is coming through. The focus has really been on clearing the PSP processes since they were reviewed at the beginning. There's also another leader, Tapelo, who's talking about the job form. And I think I would like to emphasize this. We have communicated this, I think, last week, and also we put this information on our website to say we do understand that industry operates in certain ways. There are other beneficiaries who are able to contract from the word go, others are not. Some still need to actually even audition before they can get at least their names and their credentials and so forth. So we are saying to Tapelo to say, in the case of that annexure B, just indicate that you do not have the information as yet, and that at the reporting phase, once you have received your money and started implementing the first phase of your project, at the reporting phase, you will give us that full information that we require. Leader Tobani also was very strong on this point of NAC's lack of adhering to the 72 hours threshold, which is true, and we're taking it very seriously. And I've listened to Tobani very much into what should be happening with the payments going forward. But let me just emphasize is to say, in any transaction that we engage in, we really try to be diligent and not to make mistakes. And I can understand why our finance unit will actually ensure that they pay the right amounts and not necessarily go with what they are seeing on the requisitions based on what is indicated on the approved spreadsheets. And I know there's a saying to say we tend to concentrate on us having fewer audit findings or having a clean audit in ensuring that we do our work quite properly. But it is quite important to note that we're institutions that are operating under certain regulations, and we really need to adhere to them, lest we get hauled to SCOPA to report on some of the irregularities. There was also a question on some, I think it's related to the first one that I would have answered before, to say when are they receiving their new grant notification letters, because there are some that are en route. As a matter of fact, we issued 92 today for those people that actually had quite minor issues of compliance that were approved, that we have now released. And for those that are able to receive them, kindly update the information that is required so that we can issue any contract that has not been issued yet. I didn't hear Ben B quite well. I lost audio, apologies on that one. And for Isaac, I hope I've taken your number down correctly, and I hope our projects manager is also listening. The 3436601 to expedite payment on that one. I've really taken that into heart. And I think in closing, I would like to say, we are also, as Council has mentioned, we're also unrelenting in ensuring that we close this process and we increase the number of beneficiaries that we are paying daily. It's a matter of urgency, it's a matter of importance. We receive a lot of cries, on emails to say, Madam, what is happening? I'm starving. So we really take those seriously. It's not like we are ignoring them in any way. And to my project team, I hear you have listened. Let's do this. There's always room for improvement, but let's take this opportunity to fast track, improve, still being diligent in the process, and transfer monies to the respective people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Acting CEO. Just quick closing words from Dr. Sipho Sithole, if you have any.
Yes, no, I don't have closing words as such. I just wanted to respond to Thami Kambongo on the issue that he raised. And I might not I might not answer the question directly as he's asking it, but I just want to say, Thami, I spent 3 days with you guys there and in the boardroom at the NAC. And I appreciate the collective effort that the team that is sitting there is trying to assist and deal with the issues as we are facing. But I just want to say something, and I also want to, I know Thandile is also listening there at Gqeberha. The question is valid, but the manner in which the question is asked is not a correct way and a fair way. And I will tell you why. Thami, in Cape Town, you are involved in many structures in the cultural and creative sector. If you were one of the 4 or 5 members of council whose organizations would have applied before you knew that we are going to be on the board, it will be wrong to accuse you, Thami, of benefiting, because you are not the ultimate beneficiary. The question that you could ask is, who are the organizations whose respective members have joined council and who had applied, not to benefit themselves, but to benefit the work that you guys are doing on the ground? Thandile does a lot of work in the Eastern Cape. It would be disingenuous of me if I was sitting outside to they say, Thandile Phezo, you are a beneficiary. Because without you guys, without the practitioners in the industry, the people on the ground will never benefit. Because you are the ones who must create these job opportunities. You are the ones who must come up with ideas. Umama wasemqanduli obaza yini umbheka bathi umbheka phezulu umbheka phesheya may not apply for that long nqawe. But uThandile might apply and say, hey, mama who are doing some nice, amazing nqawes lapho umbheka phesheya, that I want to assign them to buzz us these things, to carve these things. You are then going there to provide opportunities for them. If you then steal the money that was meant to benefit those people, then we have got a different discussion to have. So I'm saying to you, colleagues, the question that you ask are the ones that media then runs with as a narrative and start accusing South Africans who have sacrificed and done a lot of work for the cultural and creative sector as beneficiaries. Ubukhona-ke lapha Thami insizwa yasenkandla ekuthiwa uNtombela ebisho ukungigijima ngezagila ngaze ngayisabisa ngokuthi hayi phela nami ngibuye eMsinga kodwa izinto zambe kahle kwagcina seku right. And I would request program director to ask Thami to come back again, not to answer the question, to ask for the question again, because we might not respond to it, but just for him to does he understand what I'm trying to say? If it was him sitting there, he's being accused of benefiting, and yet he's done so much work trying to benefit people from the Western Cape. Is it a fair question to ask? It's not the right question to ask.
Thami, perhaps you'd like to just respond very quickly.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sipho Sithole. And the explanation, Yako, we understand that. The reason why I keep on typing because I felt it was not answered. Can you please, if possible, respecting what you say, provide the names of the organization? Then I'm covered. Thank you.
Yes, I've heard you, and I don't have that, Mina, as a person, that knowledge of those organizations. And Mina, integration with I manje la ngeemhlanje kunini ngikwazi ake ningixolele let's work. I don't have that information. I don't think even Councillor Mashiane has that. But that's all I just wanted to say from the deepest of my heart, to say we appreciate everyone that's doing. One day you'll be sitting here because of the work that you are doing, and we'll never accuse you of being a beneficiary. Thank you, Program Director.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sipho Sithole. In closing, I would just like to thank everybody for joining us this afternoon. I'd like to thank all of our panelists, both council members and our management team. And just quickly, I have acknowledged that there are a few people who are concerned in terms of not being able to get through on our phone lines. I do want to encourage you to also, if possible, send us emails on the email address pesp@nac.org.za, and our number is 011-010-8850. We are aware of the high call volumes, and our liaisons officers are doing everything possible to ensure that they are able to take those calls. Once again, thank you so much to our friends and colleagues in the industry. Thank you for joining us. And we look forward to hosting another one of these sessions next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Khonzi.
Thanks, Khonzi. Councillor Mashiane.
Just quickly, CEO, if we could ask that our Facebook Live be stopped, and if we could wait for our attendees to exit.